Well, a big policy change in the fight against COVID-19. The CDC is shortening its recommended time to quarantine for people with or exposed to the virus. Our Pepper Baker is here with a breakdown from a local health expert on what this all means.
That's right, Sarah. The CDC cut the quarantine guidelines in half, from 10 days to 5 if you've been exposed or contracted COVID-19. Mercy Hospital's Department of Medicine Chair Dr. Farron Mannion explains the data behind the decision.
Currently, with the Omicron wave ahead of us, I think that people are thinking about what kind of an impact is this going to have on our workforce.
With COVID-19 cases on the rise, Mercy Hospital Department of Medicine Chair Dr. Farron Mannion explains the Centers for Disease Control's decision to cut the quarantine guidelines in half.
Essentially, everyone needs to be in isolation for 5 days, and then 5 more days of really wearing a mask everywhere you go to make sure you're not infecting other people.
The CDC wrote in a media release that the change follows the science behind tracking the virus's transmission trends.
When you have COVID, you're really infectious for a day or two before you actually get symptoms, and you're highly infectious maybe for 2 or 3 days after that.
If an infected or exposed person is asymptomatic by the 5th day, they can leave isolation as long as they wear a well-fitted mask.
You have an extra 5 days after that you have to wear a mask all the time when you're around anybody around you.
Boosted people exposed to COVID can follow strict masking rules instead of quarantining.
If you've been boosted, then you don't actually have to quarantine. That means you can actually use your mask, a well-fitting mask for 10 days around other people without being quarantined.
Mannion says if there are any signs of illness on the 5th day or after, you need to stay quarantined.
Please be mindful of your symptoms after you've been exposed, even if it's beyond 5 days.
The best practice for anyone who's been exposed is to get a test on the 5th day after exposure. If you have symptoms on the 5th day, the CDC says to quarantine until you have a negative test.
All right, thanks, Pepper.